We're back with our 2021 rookie profile. Is Khalil Herbert a heat seeker? Watch and find out. It's Brad from RotoHeat and RookieDraftGuide.com. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, hit that like button, the subscribe button, the notification icon. I'd appreciate it. I like when you do that. All right, so the question of the episode is, with Herbert, are we looking at a sleeper in the running back group? Herbert's an interesting case. You know, a kid who, coming out of American Heritage High School, which is a high school to know if you're in the Devy world, they produce some solid quality guys. 5'10", 195 pounds, you know, originally was scouted by some decent schools. App State, Fordham, FIU, Georgia State, ultimately signed with Kansas, but then kind of did his best work and was given his most opportunity at Virginia Tech in 2020. You know, in 2020, we saw a lot of guys opt out and a lot of guys not have the most successful campaigns, but it seemed to do work and do well for Herbert as he turned a 2020 campaign into 155 attempts, 1,183 yards, 8 touchdowns. I mean, some of his best production, period. Even got in with receptions, 10 catches, 179 yards, a touchdown. I mean, he put in work with Virginia Tech, and I think really put himself firmly on the map of draft hopeful at that point. You know, his 4 seasons with Kansas in the Big 12, it just wasn't great. His sophomore year was his most successful, had his most action as well. You know, 120 attempts, 663, 4 touchdowns. 2018, 113 attempts, 499, 5 touchdowns. And then it really was kind of downhill from there. I mean, it was what it was. If he would have opted to come out in 2019 or after 2019, I don't know that he'd be even in the conversation for draft eligible or draft hopeful. He'd have been draft eligible for sure, but draft hopeful because he hadn't really put a lot on tape. You know, when you look at the player, it wasn't that impressive. Coming out of high school, he wasn't overly sought after, you know, 3-star prospect, but had some offers, but it wasn't from major schools that have pumped out NFL caliber running backs recently. I mean, you know, I think moving to Virginia Tech was the smartest move he could have made. And he is definitely a guy that we need to have a conversation about as we look at what he projects to at the NFL level. We saw a lot when we looked at his 2020 film from VTech. He really put an impressive season together, and I think it bears having that conversation. All right, so this is where we get at it. We look at the evaluators' comments. We look at where the RookieDraftGuide.com team puts him at in kind of their pseudo big board at this point in the process. Herbert, well, let me start here. So we have kind of a consensus top 3 backs. I mean, everybody kind of knows the big 3. You got Harris, you got Williams, you got Etienne. Those are kind of the guys that most people think are 1, 2, and 3 in some order. After that, there really are some guys that can make a case for being in the next tier of running backs that, from fantasy purposes, can still give you some solid production and solid value. And I think Herbert is a guy that could make a case if you dive into his film and really start to understand the player better. He does a really good job at a lot of different things. Now, some of the evaluators said, you know, he's not spectacular at anything, but he's a good all-around running back. You saw in 2020, when given the opportunity to make receptions out of the backfield and be used in the passing game, he could do it just fine. He has the ability to run inside and outside just fine. He's tough to bring down. Not easy in a one-on-one situation because he drives those legs and he's a strong young man. He is very good at protecting the ball, which is awesome. You know, he only had, 2 fumbles and, you know, over 500 touches. I mean, that's a big deal. He really should have been used more in the passing game, quite honestly. He does a very good job. He's got very natural hands in the receiving game. So that was really more bad on Kansas for not utilizing him and deploying him as a pass catcher as well. When you look at the type of player he could be at the next level, he could very, very well be fantasy relevant. And in my mind, that's why I asked you, is this a guy, where's he at for you? Because I think he very well could be a quality late second, early third round pick that becomes a sleeper in this draft, and maybe even come by draft time, vault himself up into the conversation of being a high second round pick. I mean, he's put the production on film in 2020. When given the opportunity, this guy could be a really quality complement in a 1-2 combination. He probably fits better into a probably more of a, where he's a one-cut type guy in his own scheme, but that's perfectly fine. That's very fantasy relevant when you look at it. So let me know. What are you guys thinking? The guys on the team are not – there's a lot of nice running backs in this class, and after you get past the top 3, there's a lot of confusion because some guys love a guy like Carter who's, more of a pass-catching type back that's going to get you that PPR love. Some like, the Jarrett Pattersons of the world, the thumper running back that's going to be able to get you those hard yards on the ground. It's really a pick your poison. So let me know in the comments below, what is your poison? What are you picking at the running back position? It's an interesting conversation, one that I think could really give us some fun fantasy results in this season. So let us know in the comments below. As always, rookiedraftguide.com, rotoheat.com. We work hard to put out this content for you. Show a little love to the YouTube algorithms and slap that like button, slap that notification icon, all those things. Comments are the best way to get the love on the YouTube. So we thank you guys. As always, RotoHeat loves y'all. You guys are the best fans in the world, and we will talk to you again soon.